Hi, I'm Christy Pulig. Thanks for watching our VBS volunteer meeting summary. I'm going to give you just a quick run through of the slides that we used, but I'll also be referring to the VBS volunteer handbook. It'll be helpful if you have that handbook in front of you. So if you don't, if you want to pause this now and go print it, it will be helpful for you to have it in hand, and go ahead and do that. Then also, I want to remind you of a list of things to do that you'll need to do since you didn't make it to the meeting, and you're already doing the first thing. You're watching this video, so thank you for doing that. You will also need to make sure you read through the entire handbook. I'm just going to give you some quick highlights, but there's a lot of information and you do need to know the details, so make sure you read the whole handbook at some point. Another thing you need to do is pick up your t-shirt. These were given out at the meeting. All the volunteer t-shirts are at church, downstairs next to the fellowship hall. If you go down the stairs, they're kind of to the left of the fellowship hall near the preschool wing. You can pick up your t-shirt anytime during the week prior to VBS, or you can pick it up on Sunday morning. Or if you don't pick it up any of those times, make sure you pick it up on Monday morning at VBS, because you do need to wear your volunteer shirt on Monday of VBS. You can wear it the whole week if you want, but at least wear it on Monday and Thursday. And if you'd like to donate $5 just to offset the cost of those shirts, we would love that. You can just drop off $5 at the registration tent anytime during VBS. Whoever's there, just tell them it's for your t-shirt. If you're 18 or over, make sure you've handed in your background check. We need a few days before VBS in order to run that. So if for some reason you haven't, make sure you get that in as soon as possible. And if you're under 18, you must hand in your teen commitment form. Make sure that's in at least by the first day of VBS. The other thing you need to do, since you're watching this video, at the end of the video, you're going to text me the password. And you have to stay tuned so that you find out what the password is, and then you can text it to me or email it to me. And then one last thing you'll need to do is, if you haven't already missed the dates to decorate, I'll tell you what those dates are at the end of this video. Make sure you pick at least one date to come help us decorate and set up. We'll even be doing some the day before VBS, right after church. Hopefully you can join us for at least one of those times. All right, in your handbook, if you turn to page 2, you'll see a little bit about why we do VBS. Everything we do in children's ministry is discipleship driven, and VBS fits really well with that. It's a way that we can introduce children to Jesus and help them follow him. And of course, we have lots of fun in the process. But most of all, and why you're doing this training and why it is important to know our policies and procedures, is we want those children to be safe when they're in our building, and we want them to experience God's love. So it's important that we're all on the same page. It's important that you know everything that's in your handbook that you have there, also that we can keep our children safe and show them God's love. During VBS, you'll either be a guide or a station leader. You'll either be working with preschool, early elementary, or upper elementary. We do have 3 full rotations for those age groups. And no matter what age group you're working with, these are the 5 Bible story lesson themes for each day and the focus. In your handbook on page 4, you'll see the scriptures that go with those as well. And whether you're a guide or in a station, you can be reinforcing these stories all throughout the week. And then across the page on page 5 is the memory verse that the kids will be learning. Your goal, especially if you're a guide working with a group, taking a group from station to station, your goal is to have every child say the required part for every single day. When a child recites their verse, you're going to give them a hole punch in their name tag. You'll have a backpack with your group, and there'll be hole punchers in your bag. And what you'll do is, if a kid recites that certain part of the verse, then you'll punch a hole in their name tag, and no more than 1 hole per day. But on Thursday night at our family night program, we'll have a prize station set up after that. And the children can come down to the prize stations and they can pick up a prize, one per hole punch in their card. So if they have 4 hole punches by Thursday night, they'll get to pick 4 prizes. So encourage them. Practice this verse with your kids every day. Keep reciting it over and over again so that the kids can get their hole punches and that they'll really understand and know this verse by the end of the week. Then on page 6 and 7 in your handbook, please notice the safety guidelines. Again, you'll want to be really familiar with these, but let me point out just a couple of our most important ones. Our number 1 rule always is never be alone with one child. You may need to be a little creative. If a child needs to go to the bathroom, you don't want to walk just one child to the bathroom because when you get there, you and the child may be alone in the bathroom. So just go ahead and take a couple of children with you if someone needs to go to the bathroom. Anywhere you go, make sure you're never just alone with one child. We also have the rule about only adult females changing diapers or directly helping in the bathroom. Obviously, the diapers are just for our nursery, our real little kids, but even with some of our older ones that may need help in the bathroom, only an adult female should help. And you only help if the child is asking, and make sure you prop a door open if you do need to help with anything like that. Make sure you read the rest of our safety guidelines, and then also on page 7, looking at what to do for emergencies. Obviously, if it's a life-threatening emergency, you'll need to call 911. There are some landlines around the building. You'll need to make sure you give the full name of the child and the specific location in our building. And then make sure someone is sent to the lobby for other assistance. And make sure someone contacts me. I usually will be in the lobby, but you could also use my cell phone number. And while we're at it, since you see my cell phone number there, if I'm not in your contacts, please put me in right now. Go ahead and add my number so that you'll have that and you won't have to be looking for it if there is an emergency. And then at the end of the slideshow, you'll need to actually text me the password so you can be ready to do that as well. If there's any other kind of injury or problem, short of calling 911, make sure I also know about that. Here are a couple things that you can do as a leader in a group. Every group will have a backpack, and you'll have Band-Aids and gloves in that backpack. We'll also have instant cold packs, and that way, instead of going to the kitchen to get ice or anything like that, you'll just have these in your backpacks, and we'll also have them at the game stations. These are packs where you just have to squeeze it really hard. It'll turn into it'll feel like an ice pack that you can use for any little bumps and bruises and that sort of thing. No matter what the injury, unless it's just, a kid just needs a little Band-Aid, make sure I know about it. You can either text me or send someone up to the lobby to make sure I'm aware. If there is an injury that's not too extreme but needs more than a Band-Aid and the ice pack, then you can have someone take the child up to the tent in the lobby. So anything that you're comfortable just giving a Band-Aid or a cold pack, you can go ahead and do that. Otherwise, bring the child up to the lobby. We have a security team and a medical team in place during VBS. Next is if there needs to be an evacuation from the building. The main thing you need to know, again, you'll have a backpack with your group, and in that backpack we'll have your attendance sheet. So if there's evacuation, if there's an alarm going off or we need to evacuate for any reason, wherever you are, take your group out the door that's closest to you, whatever the nearest exit is. Make sure you have your attendance sheet, which is in your backpack, and then take your group to the far side of the parking lot. No matter what door you leave, go ahead towards the parking lot and take your group all the way to the far side of the parking lot, and we'll have every group line up in a single file line and wait for further instructions there. The next few pages, we're going to look at the 3 different sets of rotations that we have. We have preschool, early elementary, and upper elementary. Our elementary rotations are a little bit different than our preschool rotations. So you'll see here, the preschool information is on pages 9 through 13 in your handbook. And one of the main differences for preschool rotations, they are a little bit shorter than the elementary stations. But also preschool actually have homerooms. Our elementary groups do not have any kind of homeroom. They start the day in the worship rally, as everyone does, up in the sanctuary. And elementary groups go immediately to their first station and just go station to station. Preschool groups, however, each have a homeroom. And you'll go, if you're in preschool, if you're a guide in preschool, you'll take your group after the worship rally. You'll take your group to your homeroom for the first 10 minutes. Then at some point in your schedule, you'll have a period called homeroom activities, and that'll be in your homeroom. Whenever your snack time is scheduled, that will also be in your homeroom, and that means your snack will be delivered to you. And you'll be back in your homeroom one final time for dismissal. Preschool dismisses from the classrooms. Everyone else dismisses upstairs in the sanctuary. If you are a preschool guide or a station leader, make sure you read all the details on pages 9 through 13. Next, though, we'll look at the elementary rotations and information, and this is on page 14 through 20. You'll see the early elementary schedule, which, like I said, starts in the sanctuary and then goes from rotation station to station. And the upper elementary schedule is there. You'll also see the map and the room numbers for all those stations, and notice that each station has an in and out door. And then for the most part, we have one-way traffic as well, so watch for that. You'll have some other details like age level characteristics. And again, if you are working with early or upper elementary, make sure you read through pages 14 through 20. So you're either a guide or you're helping or leading in a station. And if you're looking at page 21, we see our guides lead through the stations. You're connecting with a certain group of kids that you're assigned to. Your group has at least 2 adult leaders and at least 2 teen leaders serving as guides. Our elementary stations, we've actually also subdivided them. So the elementary groups will have 4 different subgroups. So they're either in group 1, 2, 3, or 4. And that means when you get to somewhere like snack, you'll have 4 snack tables. Everyone in subgroup 1 should be sitting at table 1. Everybody in subgroup 2 will sit at table 2. And same for 3 and 4. And you'll need to subdivide some other times, like in the mission station for prayer groups. You'll be subdividing. So elementary groups, you can look for that. Station leaders and helpers, you're staying in one station for the whole morning. So you're going to be preparing for when the kids come in, helping them out, then cleaning up and moving them out and bringing in another group. In the stations, I recommend that you recite the Bible verse at the beginning and end of the station. That'll keep reinforcing the Bible memory verse for the week. And then if you're a guide, make sure you're reading through all of the details that are on page 22 and 23. This tells you exactly what you should be doing in each station to interact with your group. Notice also the information about registration and what happens when the kids come into the worship rally. All kids are dropped off upstairs in the sanctuary, and then elementary kids are picked up again in the sanctuary. As I said earlier, the preschoolers, though, are dismissed from the room. Every group has a backpack with an attendance sheet in it, and when the children arrive, you're making sure they get checked in on that sheet, and when the children leave, you'll need to make sure they get checked out. It helps if you just pick one leader who's holding that clipboard with the attendance sheet. And one leader can be in charge of check-in and then check-out. In all of the stations, these are just a couple of the big reminders for everyone. No matter where the kids are in all the stations, make sure you're focusing on the kids. It's easy to want to talk to the other leaders and get to know the leaders and focus on talking to your friends, but remember that we're here for the children during VBS. They're our priority. We want to build relationships with them. In order to introduce them to Jesus Christ, we want to make sure that we get to know them and get to know them where they are. So make sure you're focusing on talking to the kids from the minute they come in, and don't miss opportunities to talk to them throughout the whole day. That also means no cell phones. This is for adults and teens. Your cell phone should only come out if there's an emergency or if you need a VBS supply, like you need to text me because somebody's missing something or you have a discipline problem. All those things are fine, obviously. But otherwise, no cell phones. Just put those away, adults and teens both. You're also going to encourage kids by disciplining them. And on one of the last pages in your handbook, there's some tips for that. You're going to make sure you're praying. Pray before VBS for the children that you're going to encounter. You can pray out loud with kids. You can pray silently as you're traveling through the day, as you're focusing on praying for your group. And then a reminder about bathroom breaks. We don't want kids to leave in the middle of a lesson. We don't want them to miss the directions for the craft. So think of some times when it's better to give a bathroom break for your kids. Obviously, in between stations is a great time. Also during snack, encourage the kids to take their bathroom break then. But when they're in a station and instructions are being given, try to have them hold off. Obviously, there are emergencies that happen, but try to make sure that you're proactive in giving them bathroom breaks when it's a better time to do it. At the meeting that you missed, the leaders there went on a tour to show how do you get from station to station, because it's really important that we just have one-way traffic for our stations to cut down on congestion and confusion in the hallways. So hopefully someone in your group was at that meeting and you can just follow them. So pay attention to that. There's a few notes on the map in your handbook as well. Then also Thursday night we have our program. It's at 7 o'clock on Thursday night. We'd like all of our leaders to come. Kids and leaders, wear your shirt, your VBS shirt. Each group is assigned to a certain song. So if you're a guide, you're going to be helping your group learn the words to your particular song. And on Thursday night, your whole group will come up to the stage for that song to lead it. Notice that on the day 4 song, everybody's going to sing that one. Our kids are also going to be invited on Sunday, July 28th, to come and lead that song during the 2 worship services also. The rest of, on page 24, it tells you what the rest of the program looks like for that night as well. And then after we're in the sanctuary, everyone goes downstairs for dessert, and our prize stations will be open, and it's a great time to get to know the families that are coming to our Thursday night program. Just want to show you this real quick. Our connection questions. These are cards that will be in the backpacks, but only for the elementary groups. Preschool leaders, you can ask these types of questions, but you don't actually have to keep a card for each child. In the elementary groups, if you're a guide, you need to fill out these cards for every child in your group, 1 per child. The questions on the front of the card are good to ask on Monday or Tuesday. And then the questions on the back of the card are good to ask around Wednesday or Thursday. Our Bible story leaders will be presenting the plan of salvation. The gospel message will be presented. And so these are good follow-up questions for you to ask. And write down as much detail as you can on these cards, because at the end of VBS, we use them to pray for the children. We also introduced the gospel wheel, which is something we use in Awana. And it's just a real simple outline of the gospel, which there's some more details in your handbook on pages 26 and 27, so that you can see the kind of words that we use when we do introduce the plan of salvation to children. There's a few other helpful tips in your handbook: the Bible verse review, quick activities, getting their attention. And then here's a preview of your password. You're going to need that in just a moment. But first, I don't know when you're watching this video, but if any of these days are still available, we would love for you to come and pick at least one to come and decorate and set up at church for VBS. We need lots of hands to put up all the things that we have. Some of the things are just hanging posters, so hopefully you can join us. These are listed back at the beginning of your book on page 3, as well as this. This is about our cleanup. If you're a teen, you need to plan to stay on Friday until at least 1:30. We're usually done by 1:30 or 2 with cleanup. And teens, I provide pizza for you. We don't need as many adults. We do need a handful of adults, but only adults who don't have children with them. So if you are bringing children or responsible for children during VBS, that you're like driving home, don't worry about staying for cleanup. Our teens will always do a great job with this. So we only need a couple of adults. And then if you'd like to come to our follow-up meeting, it's optional on Monday, July 29th at 10 a.m. in my office. We will pray for the children who came to VBS, and we will debrief VBS. So feel free to join us. Those are also listed on page 3. At our meeting, you would have missed our guided prayer time. So make sure before VBS and during VBS, you're praying for these things: our volunteers, our children, our families that we'll get to interact with on Thursday night, the salvation message, and our mission project, which is our missionaries in Kenya that work with Camp Brethren Ministries. And now you are ready to text me the word BELIEVE. This is your password, so I know that you completed your training. If you're watching this at like 5 in the morning, you might want to wait a little bit and not text me right now. But any other time, you are welcome to text me this word or email it to me if you don't use text. And make sure my number's in your contacts. And if you're texting me, you'll have that in there. Thanks so much. We look forward to seeing you to decorate and set up at some point, and then again on Monday morning. Thank you again.